What's going on, folks? You're watching Archetype of Man. I'm Nick, and these things are dangerous. Whether you're the person that wants to ride or you have a family member that's decided they want to ride and you're losing your shit, we're going to talk about it a little bit. And I might even take you on one of my favorite rides, narrate a little bit, have the GoPro running. But let's talk about why, if you're not the one making the decision to ride, you should probably just shut up about it at a certain point. So I think it is important to be 100% forthright and call it up front. Motorcycles are dangerous. Anything with a motor that's going to have you doing, highway speeds or more can be dangerous. And then when you take away the cage that an automobile has, definitely it's a little bit more dangerous. That being said, with anything in life, there's risk mitigation, there's a risk assessment, there's things like that go into it. If it's your kid that's thinking about riding, well, hopefully you like to think you've done a good job parenting them and making smart decisions and doing kind of a risk assessment and things like that. So that's all it is. Risk assessment, risk management. Start with the obvious one. If you're interested in riding a bike, helmet. It may be required in your state, it may not. My state it is. So I opted for a full face helmet because, well, I like my face. I like to ride when it gets cool, and it doesn't always feel good having cool air in your face all the time. So this gives me options. It is hot in the summer, but that's fine. I would rather sweat than bleed and mess this up anymore. So this is a Sedici Strata 2, kind of mid-range, with some bug guts and stuff on it. But it is a full face. It has a built-in little sun visor, so that's cool. No having to worry about sunglasses. If you go through the shade, you can reach up and knock it off, whatever. Interchangeable visors, pretty good ventilation. And we'll just go to gloves since I stuffed my gloves in there. These are some Sedici, I don't even remember which ones, but they're leather. They have knuckle guards. They don't work so good for touching screens, so when I was using my phone for navigation, I frequently had to take the glove off to do anything on the phone. I'm not sure how important that is to you. Obviously, I would stop first, but gloves are important. I don't want to be sliding if I do go down and eat up my hands, stuff like that. And it's also important, just before we go any further with gear, none of this stuff is a guarantee. I'm a firm believer of if it's your time, it's your time. This is designed to kind of give you a second chance or lessen the impact of the injuries. But helmet, absolutely important. Don't skimp on this part. I'll drop some links down in the description with some statistics and things like that on the difference that a quality helmet can make in the event that you do go down on a motorcycle. Boots and jacket. I'll show you the jacket first and I'll show you the boots. Everybody loves to copy that. Even if they don't ride a bike, they want the motorcycle jacket, they want the boots, and then when they do start riding, maybe they wore them as fashion accessories before, they don't know what goes into making a good jacket. A few different types. There's mesh jackets. I think they're fine. I wear one in the summer. Not as much protection as leather, but again, risk assessment, risk management, and if you're so burdened that riding's not fun anymore, then what's the point? This time of year, leather, it's going to cut the wind a little bit better. It is going to offer better slide resistance, so if you can deal with it in the summer, quality leather jacket is the way to go. This also has CE level 2 armor in the elbows and shoulders. It's not body armor. I know it's primarily a gun channel, but it is enough to take some of that impact and hopefully mitigate things. Go ahead. I normally wear a CE level 2 back protector. I'm not in this jacket, and I'll show you why. I'll go ahead and get cold for you guys. It's nippy. It was like 32 this morning here, but forgot my wrist straps there. All right, so underneath the jacket, what I have started wearing, and I did a little teaser on this, this football jersey looking piece of kit. Got a little LED flashing down there. This thing is the Tech Air 5 from Alpine Stars. So it does have a CE spine protector in the back, but that's not really its biggest thing. Its biggest thing, go ahead and do this. It has helium and argon canisters in the back. I'll take it off and show you guys. So inside this apparatus up top here, you have helium and argon, as well as your battery and things like that, your rechargeable stuff, a whole computer. There's accelerometers, gyroscopes. Don't really understand it 100%, but in 20 to 40 milliseconds, when this thing detects a crash, it will inflate. You guys kind of saw the protection area. You're gonna protect your shoulders, most of your upper arm, your back, your ribs, collarbones, chest, things like that. So those are typically, statistically, some of the more severe injuries that you can have in a motorcycle accident, and this tends to help mitigate that. Obviously, given the cost of these systems and the fact that I'm not sure how much reporting is done after the fact, there's not a whole lot of data on the road side of things. MotoGP racers and guys like that have been using this technology for a long time. That's why you can see them bail off at 160 and be okay sometimes. Again, there's a degree of luck there, but tools, right, to keep you safe. Since I'm already out here in freezing, I'm gonna go ahead and show you my shirt. The folks over at Rebels Creed sent this out to me. Cool company. They just started up as of, I think their website went live yesterday, so that would have been 10/18. Whenever this video is shown, I'm filming at 10/19, but I will show you. So yeah, Rebels Creed, cool folks. I was talking with them before the launch. Awesome folks. They're also giving away a Can-Am Spider, decked out turbo, 4-seater, 4-door, all that cool stuff. With purchase, each purchase, you get a chance to win. So I'm gonna drop their link down in the description. They seem like a good group of guys and girls doing the Patriot apparel thing the right way. Definitely motivated. So huge shout out to them for sending me the shirt. They sent me a sticker too that I'm probably gonna put on one of my pannier bags on the bike. But yeah, I had to show that off while we were talking. Let's talk about boots. Boots are weird. You can do a variety of different things. As you may have noticed from the bike, I ride an adventure bike, so on-road, off-road, so my boots are geared towards that. So hopefully the camera's focusing. These are the Forma Adventure Lows. You got buckles, Velcro. You also have toe guard here. You have slide guard over here. I'll show you the other side, the inside of it, so to speak, on the left. So you also have some ankle plating here that surrounds the ankle, helps stabilize it. And some good tread. So if you had to get off and do some hiking, they're not purpose-built hiking boots, but they would work for such in a pinch if you're doing the adventure style riding. Truth be told, I'm a bit of a prima donna when it comes to hiking, so I would just throw some actual hiking boots in these generous side cases I have on the Triumph, or panniers, or saddlebags, or whatever you want to call them. I would just throw some alternative footwear in there if I was going to go play around with waterfalls and trails and stuff. But normally when I dress up to go ride, this might shock some of you Harley guys, I go ride. I don't park it in front of a bar. It's just a joke. Don't get mad. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's what I do for gear. There's some other things I do. I use an app called Rever. It tracks my ride. It also sends a link to my wife, so she should ideally know if something were to happen, whereabouts that happened. So again, hopefully it's all for nothing. But there are some steps I take. I don't take off on the bike without letting her know. If she's out doing whatever, I send her a text, let her know what I'm doing, the time to expect me home. It's good practice for any sort of outdoors, backcountry, whatever, but especially when you're on one of these things. Now we gotta have the not so fun conversation. I'm gonna start out talking to younger riders like myself, or people that are interested in riding that may be meeting resistance from family. Number one, I don't think, and I'm just gonna throw a guess out here, I don't think anybody's doing anything out of an attempt to control you. I think it is probably either they have seen bad accidents, heard about bad accidents, or just the general acknowledgement that motorcycles are dangerous and they care about you. So they don't want you to get out there and get hurt or killed or whatever. And I'll be the first one to say, it doesn't matter how good you are on the motorcycle, there's things that can happen beyond your control. So don't immediately discount that as, oh, they're trying to run my life. I'm in my 30s and I have family members I haven't told that I ride, because it's just a conversation that's not going to go anywhere. It's kind of like a political conversation where you and the other person are just going to disagree, and there's no point rehashing it. I don't really hide it. Obviously, it's on my channel, it's on my Facebook, it's on my Instagram, but it's something I haven't brought up to them because I know where they stand, and obviously where I stand on it. So there comes a point where if you are an adult, obviously if you're not an adult, live at home and follow the rules at the house. But there comes a point as an adult where you do have to make your own decisions. You do have to assess your own risk. Look at your environment where you live. I wouldn't be riding a bike if I lived in Metro Atlanta. There's just no way. There's certain parameters on where I ride now, where I won't go past certain places. And I realize, you cross-country guys that'll ride through whatever, that's fine. Ride your ride. I don't. I'm very selective about where I go, when I go. It's peak tourist season around here, so I don't really go out on the weekends, things like that. So assess your risk honestly, assess your skill level honestly. I don't think there's anybody that gets on two wheels that wouldn't benefit from more time doing low speed maneuvers or things like that. I know I do. I try to go to a parking lot and practice every couple weeks, if not every week. A little harder now with the weather, but I try to get out and still get some low speed stuff in, practicing those fine maneuvers. Try to stay up to date on my gear. Obviously, the Tech Air 5, not a cheap piece of kit for this at all. It's close to $800. I think it was $800 shipped. Helmet was close to $400. I do have the Cena on the helmet, which is a Bluetooth mesh thing. You can take phone calls. I try not to unless it's an emergency, or I'll pull over to take them. But you can do that. You can listen to music, things like that, situation dependent. Boots, close to $300. Jacket, close to 400-ish, I think. Gloves, close to 100. So the bike starts to look like the cheap part. But again, it goes back to that risk assessment. So the one thing I'm lacking is actual riding pants. I haven't found a pair that will provide worthwhile protection while still being comfortable enough for me if I want to ride to work to be in all day without having to change. So you can ding me on that if you want to. All the @GAT guys, all the gear all the time. But that's the one area where I've kind of skimped for the time being. That being said, road rash, no fun. If you've ever seen it, heard about it, talked to somebody that's had it, something I'd like to avoid, so I do need to get on that with the pants. So if you're thinking about riding a bike, just be honest with yourself. It is dangerous. I mean, being in a car is dangerous. Everything's dangerous to some degree. You're definitely willingly taking on additional risk. So I think that's an important part of the conversation to have with yourself, spouse, whatever. Now for parents, grandparents, significant others, a little bit different. We'll touch on that. Kids whose parents are starting to ride, things like that. If they are adults, at some point, you can say, hey, have you thought about that this is dangerous? Have you thought about what would happen if the worst happened? You know, if you have kids, have you thought about what's going to happen to them or your spouse? Because it is a possibility. It's not something we want to dwell on, but it is something that can happen. There comes a point where you've had those conversations, that you've provoked that thought, and if the person decides that that's still something they want to move forward on, there comes a point where you have to, much like the political metaphor I used earlier, is it worth that relationship with that person? Because if you keep pressing it, it's going to end up having some consequences. If you keep lecturing that person or getting pissed off at them because they ride or whatever, at some point there's going to be some friction, there's going to be a wedge and distance created there. Is it the smartest decision in the world? Probably not. I'm not known for making those. So I would say that this probably isn't. Is it something that provides immeasurable joy, relaxation, and fun, and just a whole new world of experiences? Yes. So you risk assessment. If that person, being of sound mind, has decided that this is what they want to do, and they've had an honest conversation with themselves, with their spouse, maybe their kids, depending on their age. Mine are young, so we haven't really talked about it too much. Last thing I need is them worrying. Then yeah, I think that comes a point where you kind of have to respect their decision. Spouses get a little bit different. So just my own experience with this, I was riding when my wife and I started dating in Norfolk and Virginia Beach, Virginia. Not a great place to ride a motorcycle. Parts of Virginia Beach, I guess, were, but the rest of it, no, not really a great spot to be riding. But I did. So our relationship started out based on our relationship started out with me riding. She knew I did that. And then kids came along and this, that, and the other, and I quit for a while. And it was always in the back of my mind, it was always something I talked about. It wasn't if I was going to ride again, it was when I'd get a bike, when I would do that again, because I enjoyed it so much, and she knew that. So I just kind of assumed for a long time that I'd have to wait till the kids were grown up, that she wouldn't be okay with it. Turns out that wasn't the case. Brought up that I really wanted to ride. We went and looked, found a good deal on this one, and she was the one that said, let's do it. She's not out to get me, obviously. She's not hoping for the worst or anything like that. I can hear somebody now saying, you must have good life insurance. Well, yes, but that's beside the point. So she was on board with it from the beginning. I don't really know how to advise anybody that's got that friction in their marriage. I would just kind of explain like, hey, you know, I'm interested in doing this. Can I at least go take a class, or can I do whatever to figure out, you know, if you've never ridden, figure out if it's something you want to do. No problem if it's not. And hopefully they would respect your desire to do that enough to let you go try that. But again, if that person used to ride, if that person gave it up somewhere along the line in pursuit of having a family, and it's something they've always talked about getting back into, from my friends and my own personal experience, that's not going to go away. They're going to expect to throw a leg over the seat of one of these again. And if your relationship started with them being able to do that and nothing else was said, like, hey, if we get married, you're not going to be able to ride a bike, most people are probably going to assume that it's going to be okay at some point. So if that's a conversation that needs to be had, maybe start priming the well now. But I got very lucky, much like my firearms habit. She kind of lets me do whatever, whenever, as long as we can. So yeah, shout out to my wife. That's awesome. And no, she doesn't have a sister of marrying age, so nobody asked. That's really the crux of it. That's kind of why I came out here to do this. I was out riding and I'm about to go ride again. I'm gonna hook the GoPro up and hopefully do a voiceover. I have no way to talk on the camera while I'm riding, so it'll be my first time doing voice narration, but I'm gonna take you guys. I don't have time to take you all the way to my absolute favorite place to go on the bike today, but I'm gonna take you around a little bit and then do a voiceover at some point. So yeah, this is one of the places that I'm happiest on earth, and I would say that if you ride, you probably get it. It seems like most folks do. And if you don't ride and you're interested, I'm not necessarily the fount of all things moto knowledge, but if there's anything I can answer for you, I'll answer your questions in the comments. But guys, stay safe, enjoy the footage. I'll see you next time.